powerful Asian cameraman #1.
It's awesome, man.
It is fucking awesome. It's basically a bunch of our friends are just like, you got a show.
Let's put it together.
Yeah, we have this, we have this, we have this. We have web developer girl and front end of website guy. So she does the coding and the back end part. Then he makes it pretty. So
Sick.
just gives us a functional site. It looks like it probably should, but the fonts or whatever. And then he just does his pretty magic to CSS or whatever, the cascading style sheets. And then it just goes from there.
That's awesome.
I think that is awesome that exists.
It's so cool.
So I clicked record just 2 seconds ago because there's a, what do you call this, a clapperboard right here?
No, that is actually, funny enough, that's an app for WODs for CrossFit.
Right.
And I found multiple uses out of it, like jiu-jitsu timer, and this one.
Yeah, it'll count.
In the bag.
It'll count rounds or whatever.
Yeah, it does rounds too. This one's just a straight up countdown.
Killer.
So, are we on?
Well, we're technically on. Cash will be with us in a minute. We're just kind of counting up into the show.
You're scared to hit start, aren't you, Sonny?
You don't want to hit
okay,
start?
man. I mean, whatever you want.
Yeah,
it's for you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here for you. Basically,
we're here to support the Sunny movement.
Scotty at OTM, he's been helping me a bunch with all that stuff, with and putting off like. He's got guys in in Indonesia and China that do all that, and I think it's a water that I'd always been scared to jump into because you're so afraid of getting burned. But he's been in it. He's been selling stuff on the internet since '95, which is crazy. So
the Scott Nelson, his partners, Alan Marquez Gumby.
Right.
He was. I started as a white belt at Half Gracie Mountain View with him. Like I used to walk into they had a kind of beginners class and then the regular class where everybody just beats the shit out of you.
Right.
But I was getting privates from him when he was a brown belt, and this is like 12 years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, those
and
two.
Gumby's got a school up here still, doesn't he?
Fuck yeah, Heroes. He was just on the show a couple weeks ago.
Rad. Yeah, those guys, they kept jiu-jitsu alive in the dark years and all that. Like that OTM site and Abu Dhabi Combat Club. There's only a few things that were out there, but they kept it alive for sure.
It was like there was Corral, there was Atama, and then OTM and Lucky Geek came around and and they wouldn't just do the web store stuff. They had the blog going. Gumby's been typing on that thing.
Dengue fever. I mean, they go down and they film all kinds of crazy tournaments, and they're traipsing through Brazil and all that. Scotty was like, he was just on my podcast, and he goes, we would just I would get envelopes full of either money or checks every Friday.
What?
And because they were asking for VCR tapes because it's 1996,
yep.
and he's got this crazy bandwidth because Cade, his brother, worked for some big company in Silicon Valley, and he's like, I'll just upload it at work. And so he's using whatever IBM's bandwidth or something, and that's how they ran at OTM.
That's
just
awesome.
Great.
It was originally just kind of trading tapes and selling the tapes, and man, that's crazy. Back then, it would have been Pride stuff for me, the early UFCs. And I was just because I grew up watching pro wrestling, so I saw the first couple UFCs because a friend had a black box and they were
Did
just
you think it was bullshit?
No, I didn't.
You're like, dude, wrestling's better. I'm skeptical. This is bullshit.
It was just that first event was kind of chaotic. I wasn't really
crazy.
The format, I wasn't really sure it was what I was watching, and they were standing up, and the rules didn't really click. I didn't know what I was seeing.
Crazy mismatch dudes like that Yarborough dude. I think he just died a couple years ago, maybe the big sumo looking guy.
Okay,
and like Keith Hackney, and then dude comes out with one boxing glove and the other. It's like it looked like a game show almost.
I wasn't sure what I was watching. I knew that the Hoist Gracie thing was special.
Right.
I knew who Ken Shamrock was already, so I was like, oh, that guy. He was a pretty big. He was already kind of a pro wrestler before the UFC, but
right.
Just because we traded tapes, so I had his Japan sort of stuff and some of the Pancrase stuff, and
cool.
I knew that dude was, but beyond that, not really. But tonight's 200 UFCs later, 199 UFCs later.
Wild.
Yeah.
How random.
So random. I love it. What'd you guys think of the fights?
UFC. Let's see. Brock Lesnar and Mark Hunt. It was that it actually happened at all was insane. What were the actual odds that fight would take place at UFC 200? Like, who would have thought that at all?
Yeah. I didn't. There's a lot I could bitch about. I don't like the interim belts. I think is fucking silly.
Yeah.
Like that, especially if you got a healthy guy walking around that is in the stand that has a fight scheduled, and he's had another. You defend your belt or lose the belt. Like that's it. And that's not his call really. But like even the interim belt, like that. Didn't John take an interim belt when he fought last too? Like, and he's like this. Like everybody knows it's bullshit. It's like some crazy dumb marketing ploy, and you're supposed to just dumb up as a fan and be like, yeah, cool, it's a title fight. No, it's not. Just say it's a 5-round fight or whatever. And I wish that DC would have gone the full 5 rounds tonight because he was gassed at 3, and Anderson looked great. I think.
No, I think Anderson looked great. His movement, he was on point. And I think he got hyped after he got up, and after that I felt like he kind of got in his rhythm, and then like when he was teeing off, the fans were going crazy. Man, and he felt it. Yeah, he felt that.
And then at the end of the fight, I was like, oh, they're going to a 4th round. Like I thought it was going to be 4th and 5th round because the only guy that actually had the title that fought, and that didn't go 5 round. Like, yeah, I was bummed about things like that about it because especially DC's hanging on. He's hanging on to the fence at the end after the 3rd round because he's so gassed, and he's like, I was ready for a 5 round. No, you weren't. Clearly not. And if that was Pride rules, Anderson wins. If you end like that and he ends happy, like that's like that looks like you got beat up because if they're in the woods, he's going to beat you to death. Like you could hold him for another because Anderson let him get tired. He didn't fight one takedown. Really, he just kind of went with him.
Yeah, I felt like he had the lockdown when DC was on top.
Yeah.
I felt like he was like his strategy was to like show and have the crowd boo and then have them stand up, and then when he stands up, he can get in his game. And if you feel like, I feel like if it doesn't show that DC is moving around, they're just gonna stand him up. But
do you think that's why he wasn't looking for underhooks from that lockdown position?
I didn't know he was hiding his head on the other side, on the opposite side of the body. I thought that was odd a little bit.
If it was straight jiu-jitsu, you'd look at it and say, oh, he just doesn't really know half.
He doesn't know what he's doing, right?
But in that situation,
I think Cash has a good point.
He wasn't taking much damage.
No,
he
stayed super safe.
I guess he was waiting for the stand up. I mean, he's not going to defend those takedowns, he was getting hit, so DC was able to connect. He was pretty confident.
Most dangerous though was on their feet.
Oh, for sure.
He had a couple of overhands that I think touched Anderson. He's like, oh, okay, I need to be more serious about this. But I don't know. I was impressed, man. I thought it was a fun fight in that way. I didn't think it was like I didn't think it was boring in any way. I think Anderson did well on the ground, and I think that DC doesn't know how to pass the guard. And
do you think he wanted to?
I don't know.
Was he even trying?
But the thing is after you got stood up the first time, you got to go, okay, I can't, like, if he's got lockdown on me, I'm imbalanced enough that I can't really strike very well. He knew that, and then he knew they're going to stand me up, and I don't like it when Anderson touches me, and so that's where he's touching me. I don't know.
Honestly, the way I've seen DC fight in 2 fights previously where striking from the opposition was going to be an issue one was the Strikeforce Grand Prix heavyweight final against Josh Barnett. He clinched him the entire time against the fence and was doing his best to avoid the dirty boxing. He was trying to get the underhooks, press the head into the face. He put pressure on the whole time. And the other time would have been
Johnson.
Yeah, man, because he got dropped hard that one time, and afterwards he just stuck to him. Oh yeah, that's scary. It's a scary man.
He's almost underrated in a way. I think that he's more dangerous. Like people are like, oh, he's been beat by so and so or so and so. I'm like, those are almost fortunate. I don't want to say they're lucky wins for the guys that won, but they got out there and like, thank God that's over, because that is a problem. That guy.
Yeah, can I tell you guys something about Anthony Rumble Johnson? So when I was training with AKA's pro fight team, I remember Anthony Johnson was one of the team members. Well, he was on Kung Lee's team, and this is when he used to fight at 170s. And I remember he came
Which is crazy, too.
Dude, he came into AKA. He came into AKA, and he's like the same size as Kane. I'm like, those are like
the same human.
Same. He's like that big, and then fights at 170s.
Unreal.
And actually, Koscheck fought him. I remember that whole thing too.
So did they have a sanctioned fight, or was it just kind of a gym thing?
No, they fought in the UFC.
They fought at 170.
Yeah, and Josh Koscheck choked him out because I think that weight cut was too hard for.
He's a big guy, man.
Big guy, yeah.
I'm sure he walks around in the middle of like heavyweight waters anyway. It's got to be because when he gets there,
it's like Cowboy is the same way like that, where he'll train with lightweights, but it doesn't serve him very much. He's bigger and he's stronger and he's very good. So his training partners are all guys that are light heavyweights or middleweights or something, you know.
Yeah, none of the AKA welterweights are like 170-pound guys, and Josh Thompson is not a 155 guy. He walks around big.
Really?
Yeah, the guy's shredded too. He's like an Abercrombie model. He's like, I also fight.
Right.
He's just a handsome guy.
Yeah.
He's a strapping gentleman. He's a handsome man. Yeah. I think he's coming up after one or two of these. I don't know. He lives around here somewhere.
Killer, man.
Yeah. So between. You're back and forth like crazy between LA and New Mexico. Are you mostly in New Mexico? Are you mostly in LA?
I don't know.
You're just whatever?
It depends on what's happening, you know. Last year I spent like 3 months in Atlanta, and then it's in Colombia for 5 weeks, and then I was in, I spent a bunch of things. It depends what's going on, you know. Like I spent a lot of time in New York too. And it just depends where jobs are, I guess.
Is most of this filming stunt
That's all
work?
filming stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah. Like John Wick was in New York, and then The Equalizer was in Boston, so that was like 5 weeks and a month. And but I have a home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I have a gym there, and that's where our coffee company is based out of. And Keith stays there, and so I've got a place in Santa Fe, and then he's down in Albuquerque. It's about an hour away from each other, and then I stay in Venice.
So you guys have both. You're a proficient hunter.
Yeah.
You've been hunting. I still haven't been hunting.
Oh, really?
I lived in Texas for a number of years. Everybody hunted. I'm from Jersey originally, so I'm kind of late start, but I want to get into it. I'm pretty sure factory farming is evil as shit. And I'd like to be able to. Well, first, I want to live further away from people. Yeah, it's. I mean, it sucks because cities exist, and like, there's got to be a better alternative. But I mean, for me, if I can be less of a terrible human being, and put a hole in something, drag it home, and eat it, I'd be pretty stoked about that.
Sure.
So, how many times have you been?
I've gone twice, but that's the whole FBI story was because I went to get a hunting rifle.
Nice segue.
Yeah. And but I ended up just getting a bow because I got declined.
Easier.
It's just, I was like, well, when the FBI came in and when I told them, I showed them the tags, that my like hunting tags and my hunting license. I was like, look, I was just buying a hunting rifle, but if it's this much problems, I'm just gonna go get a bow. And I ended up going with a Hoyt, which is, I hear it's good. My friend has one, and he still.
Were they cool?
Oh, the FBI?
They came to your house.
Yeah, they came to they knocked on the door, and like my mom was home, and what was funny was like they asked like, oh, is Cash home? And my mom was like, oh yeah, who are you guys? And they're like, oh, we're the FBI, and they showed the badge.
Like the Men in Black showed up.
No, it was like people dressed up like us, but they just have a badge,
and the gun.
For sure, a gun. Yeah.
I'm picturing the X-Files, but racist.
Right.
Yeah.
But you just changed the whole, I got to redo it now.
No, the FBI, they were cool. They came in, and I told them the truth. I was like, look, it's for a hunting rifle. They asked me crazy questions, like if I ever wanted to hurt America, do I, like things like this. And I was like, no, actually, like I told you earlier, I've lived in other places in the world, and like America, I think it's the best. Like I've lived in Russia, Ukraine.
They go, we're not buying it.
No, they were like, yeah, they could totally tell. Yeah, and
that is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if that were your job. Like, well, I'm going to go around, and this guy is from Iran after all, so we're going to try to hem him up here.
Yeah, I think somebody, I think the place where I went to go purchase the rifle, I think they told the FBI because I have a younger brother who looks exactly like me, and like they only wanted to talk to me. They didn't want to talk to my brother. Yeah, they were like, we just want to talk to Cash. And like if you see my brother now, you'll be like, oh yeah, these guys are brothers. And most people know us as like having a beard and hair, but
crazy.
But his brother, we took that trip to LA last week. We recorded 3 shows.
Awesome.
The traffic sucks.
Yeah. Depends when you go somewhere, but yeah, it can.
It was 4th of July weekend, but
that's tough. Yeah.
His little brother. He's like a scaled down version, but he's like super athlete. Like he should be on Ninja Warrior or something.
Right.
Super charismatic, like the nicest kid in the world. He drives down because he wants support his brother. We're doing all this shit. Fucking met Hanato, met Eve and Henner Gracie, met Chris Cyborg. Like it was a dope weekend.
Awesome.
He gets about 9/10 of the way to LA and fucking appendicitis, has to get emergency surgery to cut that fucker out. And he was in the hospital like good half of 4th of July weekend, laid up. Dude gets out he goes to surgery 8 p.m. 5 a.m. he wakes up and he's like, get me the fuck out of here.
Isn't it crazy that they can do that? I mean, 100 years ago you're dead if that happens to you or whatever. And then also like even not long ago, it's like you're gonna go through your abdominal wall, like you're gonna be in the hospital for days, and now they're like, bye.
Yep.
It's amazing what they can do.
We put this video up. They did this motivational Monday thing. I'm trying.
I don't see it.
And it's basically his brother doing fucking push-ups on the beach. And where were you guys?
Malibu.
Fuck yeah, he's like, I just had surgery. I almost died 2 days ago. Here's 20 push-ups. And we're like, so we were trying to fucking do a little Patreon thing and be like, all right, if you fucking listen to this thing, don't worry about our shit. Just fix it because he doesn't have insurance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it kind of like screwed him. Well, the thing that sucked was when we got there and he had to get the surgery. He was like, maybe I shouldn't. Like, no, it's like a life.
Right.
And he's like,
so okay. I could go, it doesn't hurt that bad. I'll walk it off.
Yeah.
You're like, no, you're going to go septic.
Yeah, it's death.
Yeah. And so he's like, all right, let's do it. And it was like the whole thing, like, it's going to cost a lot of money, like all that jazz.
How much is it to get your appendix out?
So we don't know yet. The bill hasn't came in, but when we had friends that were looking it up, and it said it's like anywhere from $30,000 to like $80,000.
Yeah,
if you don't have insurance.
I was gonna say $4,000 to $6,000.
No. If it was $4,000 to $6,000, it'd be.
We just.
Yeah. Holy Christ!
I've heard like much higher numbers depending on what hospital and where. I mean, they're in LA, so this.
And it's a holiday weekend. They're like. It's quadruple time.
And every little thing they do in the hospital, they invoice, they bill, right? So he could be looking at 6 figures easy. It wouldn't be that surprising. It would suck, but like if they were to say it's $95,000, that's a number a lot of people have.
Changes a young man's life. Like that's a crazy deal.
Yeah, because then if you might have to pull out loans and pay that.
Well, you can't. What happens if you don't pay it?
You just don't pay
it. So your credit gets ruined, and like you. After 7 years, you'll get cleared. Which is he's kind of.
How old is he?
He's gonna be 26 in September.
He's not gonna make any money till he's in his 30s anyway. Fuck it, bankrupt, and go on.
A lot of people just don't pay him. Most people, I think.
But then later on, you're stroked later if you want to like start anything.
Yeah.
What if they garnish your wages? Like, can they?
I don't think. I don't know. I know in New Mexico they have like an indigent fund, and so if you can't pay, you're on like some mad sliding scale that they do. But I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
It's almost worth getting a lawyer that knows about that and go, hey, I'll spend $500 to learn your expertise to find out what's the best way to mitigate this.
Mm-hmm. I really believe in paying good money for good services. Like I wouldn't do discount LASIK surgery. You know what I mean? I'm like, you'd be like 20/20 or not. You come out blind or fucking like Cyclops and the X-Men or something, which would be dope, but would suck at first. But no, they're saying like, get a good lawyer, not like don't get the what's that Better Call Saul show,
right?
New Mexico based show,
right?
But pay. I'd get a good fucking lawyer, and I'd read that Obamacare shit. Like if he signs up, would it go like retroactive? Could you be like, hey, can you make this suck a little less?
I don't know how all that works.
Nope.
If there's a sign up sheet on a website, it's probably a scam. Fucking.
Yeah. Well, we should keep talking about 200 because I was super excited about the Jose Aldo Frankie fight.
Pretty good.
And what'd you think about that one?
I'm always the first thing that shocks me all the time is how much bigger everybody is than Frankie
in every weight class ever.
It doesn't matter where he fights. I'm like,
how
crazy. The thing I worry about is like the first time I ever saw him fight. He's fought before that for sure, but was when he fought Gray Maynard, and that was maybe 6 years ago. It was a long time ago. I don't know. But Gray is big and strong, and then. And Frankie kind of got, it was like he almost looked like Vanderlei in the Pride days when Vanderlei would get knocked out, hit the ground would wake him up, and he'd be right back up, and like, ding. And I don't know, like, but it looked like a lot of brain trauma, and but then even after that, boom, he'd hit double legs, and he ragdolled Gray, and Gray was a bigger, like, and really good wrestler, and then you saw the shots he took on Jose today, and just nothing, man.
No, did you see Jose?
Nothing.
Stiff arm?
By.
Oh, my God.
And then some of his shots. I mean, there was 2 combos in a row. Frankie threw the same combos, and he slipped them both, one right after the next. And it's like he's that much faster. He's that much bigger, and he's that much faster. And every shot is stuff. And then a lot of the punches are just missing. He's like not even at his face. And I was like, that's timing. And so that's all this brain health. The problem becomes how much brain trauma have you taken? And there is a place in Dallas, man. They help. They're super dope guys, but they helped out Guy Metzger a lot, is how I found out about him. And Guy had a stroke. He was basically a kickboxer, but a Lion's Den guy and an old school UFC guy.
Oh yeah.
But he had a stroke at like 32 or 33 years old, right? And they got his brain health back, and he's really good. He's cogent, and you can't tell that he's had a stroke, which is amazing. But these guys, I think Diego just went to him too, Diego Sanchez, and spoke really highly of the work they do. But the problem is like you get clipped a lot and your timing goes off, and I think that's what we're starting to see. We're starting to see this timing. He's not quite as fast. He's not quite as, because the Frankie Edgar 3 years ago would be a different fighter against Jose Aldo. I think.
Sure.
Not to take anything away from Jose Aldo's performance, which is flawless. Like, it's amazing, and he's driven, and he had something to do. Yeah. And the only thing wrong, I mean, he has maybe the shittiest mustache I ever saw in my life.
Yeah. But so I thought that was. So I thought that's Jose Aldo, and Jose Aldo is the Brazilian. So when I saw that, I was like, "That's Jose Aldo."
Exactly. That's awesome. That was great.
Sick.
But yeah, that was a great. It was a great fight, though, man. Those guys both look really good. And I don't know how hard it is for Frankie to cut, but I was looking at him like, should he go 35 or what? Like, I don't know where he fits in that.
I feel like you're from Jersey. He's from Jersey.
Yeah, we're both from Tom's River, actually. I knew some of his cousins, but I met him a couple times just back in grade school, and he was like the nicest kid ever. And so seeing him lose and he looked really like disappointed. You see, like the facial reaction whenever he missed a couple of those combos. I think Joe Rogan even called it out. Like, yeah, you can just see the disgust when he missed those combos.
It's a bummer, man.
Fuck yeah.
Especially he's had so many ups and downs this year, like being dick teased, kind of. Oh, you're almost at greatness. People almost know your name, and then and not guys that are fans, but I mean all these like. Most of the fans are these whatever. I mean, you're almost like at Conor McGregor state. Like if he got that fight and that was dangled a little, and he kind of it didn't fall his way, and I think that makes this more gutting for him because it's not just another fight. It's like either I'm going to take my place or else I have to step aside a little.
You think it's a little bit of the he's a little bit too nice. He hasn't been really promoting himself over the years because I mean he took the title off of BJ Penn and defended it successfully. He had his fights with Gray Maynard. Arguably, those Benson Henderson fights could have been judged either way.
Sure.
I have my own opinions, but I am biased. So yeah, but I feel like
I don't know. I mean, you imagine after he beats BJ Penn, every fan out there says. Well, we want a guy that is like, you want a guy like Randy Couture, like a Captain America, and that's kind of thing, or like Chuck Liddell, who just looks like he's gonna kill you, and he's never super friendly, but he doesn't really talk shit, right? He just looks like an assassin, and so there's that. But then there's all the guys that are really the shit talkers that people love, like that fight tonight, like we talked about the Nunez Tait fight.
Yes.
You know, a third of the people where you are leave before that fight happens because the big fight is Mark Hunt. Like the big fight is that Lesnar fight, and so everybody bounces after that because they've seen the main event in their minds, right? That's what it looks like too. The way it's promoted, even the girls come out and it's kind of like, well, whatever.
That's so funny you say that because the
lights, everything,
and because of 200 happening, I felt like it was supposed to be Conor Diaz on that card, and then DC John Jones is the co-main event, and then Mark Hunt versus Brock Lesnar is the third. But it was...
and then a girl fight maybe.
Yeah.
Or something. And it just didn't fall that way. And so like all those things I think are formative mistakes that get us into a place where you feel not so great as a fan. Because we did want Conor and Diaz. Like, why, you know...
That would have been the best time to go to Vegas for that fight, because we were supposed to go, and then the fights changed, and it was like, oh, do you really want to go and spend? We just spent a bunch of money in LA and our time.
Do you know who fights on that card with Diaz and Conor?
Conor and Diaz.
I'll pull it up right now. It's I'm sure Conor actually got on the stage and referred to it as like the real UFC 200. I'm like, oh, you dick.
I like it. I like it. I would go to it just to watch that, even though it's to me not that any fight's a foregone conclusion. However, I feel like Nate will just be more confident and he'll probably manhandle him more, or maybe he'll wrestle him a little, get his arms a little tired, because Conor's one chance is to knock him out in the first round before he gets tired. And then after that, if he has no punching power left, it's just you're going to get knocked out for sure unless he chooses to finish you. And that's the way that'll go. And now Nate really has confidence. You know, he shook the mystique off of Conor the last time.
Listen to this war. Okay, so not even the co-main event, but on the main card, they got Cowboy and Story fighting.
That's right.
Demian Maia against Carlos Condit.
Right.
Listen to this one.
I'll go to this fight for sure.
Rumble Johnson against Glover Teixeira.
Yeah.
Think of that.
Those are two opposing forces. If Glover comes out the way he, like, I think he would have, like, Jones against Rashad, like, driving in the way he drives in and gets in your face. If he chooses counter fight, it's not so good. But if he goes and bullies the way Johnson does, like, that's the way to fight those guys.
You think
you got to take the center?
You think they're going to be very tentative, or do you think it's going to be a war?
No, I think they're going to throw it out. I think Glover's like, how many fights do I have left?
Yeah.
And so I better just give her. And then I don't know that Johnson knows how to fight a different way, except to just mow you down. And he just comes on like a juggernaut. And it's like, let's see. It's like Woodley is like a similar fighter in that regard, where he's hyper athleticism, stronger than all his opponents. Maybe a gas tank issue, but like, good luck surviving the first 2 rounds or whatever, though.
Yeah.
Wading in against someone like a Glover Teixeira.
Sure.
Wow.
Yep.
Just danger.
But it's the same thing, you know, you look at Mark Hunt tonight and Lesnar. And I think that fight, you know, what Hunt could have done more to maybe avoid takedowns is make him more scared of that right hand, or make him scared of a knee. And if like if he would have hit him with a knee when he came in, or even when he went to sprawl, like one time he just sprawled for no reason. I feel like Lesnar didn't he in the first round? But like if he'd have hit him with a knee or gave him pause in some way, but it kind of, I think Lesnar started feeling like I can walk in a little too easily, where there's no threat. But like those guys give each other a threat like that, and that'll be the thing. Whoever is the bigger threat in that thing, whoever stings you first, is maybe going to be who dictates the win or the flow of the fight anyway.
Man, I think, but everybody was trying to market the fight as wrestler against striker. But
I don't think so.
They kept saying it on the pay-per-view. They were trying to. He was calling himself a wrestler against.
It's
a striker.
just like when Joe says that shit though. Joe's like, "This is the most exciting card ever." That's his job
since the last one,
right? Yeah, right. Yeah. This guy, I think, is the most. Okay. Because I've heard this about other guys before too. So what does the most mean to you? You know, like, we can't use superlatives for everything. Like it demeans the nature of superlatives.
Dana's trying to describe Brock Lesnar and his heavyweight run and stuff, and he's just like looking back and forth. He's like, you can tell he's not happy with himself. He's describing something that it's like
amazing.
He's like, sure, I believe this. But
I think I wonder too, like when you look at. What do you guys think about the drug stuff? Like, so do you guys know what John got tested with?
I don't.
DHEA or what?
I don't know.
I heard or read that somewhere. I don't know if it's true.
Really? DHEA is like, you can buy that at the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Like an over-the-counter thing. Like my mom, I think, takes it for osteoporosis or something.
It's in a lot of supplements, right?
But it's on the ban list, and so that's the thing. That's so weak. Because weak in the face of, hey, Brock, we'll go ahead and give you an extra 8 weeks or something to test. Well, you're testing guys off season, you're testing them year round. You sign Brock Lesnar, and then you're going to go, we're going to basically give you a pass for the steroids. What are you on right now? And we'll help you get off them because we need you for 200. There's weak fucking sauce, and quit pretending that you care about the fighters. Quit pretending that you're hiding from a lawsuit. Like, clearly nobody gives a fuck if those guys are on drugs unless you get sued later because you're on drugs and I'm not on drugs, and then I go, hey, he knew he was on drugs and he didn't even try to test him, and so now they bring in USADA and the grand snitches. It's crazy.
Isn't it crazy how John Jones got popped for something but Brock didn't?
Yeah, but clearly Brock is on steroids, and that's like it's madness. That is madness. It really is.
So far they haven't released what he was on, but they tested the B sample and it was also positive for it.
Yeah.
And then I'd heard too that GAT supplements that sends him supplements, they've had tainted supplements before.
Oh,
really?
Like the conveyor belts were used for something else, maybe.
Well, that's kind of what they say, but like I know back in the day, Nate Marquardt he pissed hot, and forget what it was for, but he swears, man, he was like, I was just taking Zions supplements, and Zions was like a shell company for for 2 years or 3 years. They just had their banners up everywhere. You couldn't even get products from them, but they would send us samples. And he said, I was just taking their test booster and something else, and then he pissed hot, and then I've heard about supplement companies going, oh, here's a new fat burner, and they give little sample packets out, which are unregulated. It's all unregulated anyway, but like those would be test runs that would be in and out of your factory, and they'd just be in stores now, but that will have trace amounts of crystal or some kind of speed in them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that they really, really work, and so that when the real body comes out, you're like, hey, did you try overabundance? It's awesome. And then that pumps their sales. Yep. And so that's like a common practice, I guess, in that. So that could be. And then I think the lady doth protest too much, because right away GAT came out and they're like, our supplements are totally clean, like, and nobody had even said anything yet. I'm like, oh, that's curious that you're getting so far ahead of it that you dosed him.
Is he using those rhino pills? Like, what's his name? Is it Red Band that he was on those?
I don't know.
They were selling.
What are those dick pills?
The dick pills from the fucking gas station.
Oh, there's something 5,000.
There's 1,000 of them. There's a million different
but the
ones.
kind that Brian liked were something.
Yeah, they all have the real shit in there too, in like abundance.
Something 5,000. Yeah.
There's the rhino. There's the black mamba. There's like a diamond thing. They absolutely work.
The black mamba.
It's like they're the worst thing in the world for you. You get tracers, like your vision's fucked up.
Really?
You turn red.
And they sell them in truck stops, so that's perfect.
They sell them.
Get back on the road, guys.
Yep.
Just dry. You don't even need your hands. Just fucking put that thing right on the fucking wheel and go.
It's funny.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think of supplements and working out?
I think you should learn how to eat food.
Yeah. Is that?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's good. I feel like you should take fish oil probably, because your omega-3s and 6s are all fucked up if you eat factory meat in America.
But like the Zion stuff, would you take those stuff? Do you take like pre-workouts or post-workout?
I drink coffee.
Yeah.
And I take like a citrulline malate sometimes if I'm training, if I'm doing like a lot of high volume training. And I notice a difference in that. You know, what I find in a lot of supplements is that it feels like, it's like when they say, hey, take some bioflavonoids, or get that vitamin C in, and it'll help you with your cold. And you take them and you're like, I don't know, maybe it worked. You know what I mean? That's the way most things are. Yeah. And so, I don't really know what the real effects are. Mm. But I think there's some things out there. I think, I don't think you need to probably supplement with protein unless you're doing something specific, like some kind of specific fasting or something, or if you're traveling and there's not good choices or something like that. But or if you have some kind of crazy, who knows, if you're a vegetarian or whatever. But I think mostly we don't need as much protein as people say.
Yeah.
and it depends what your goals are with it. And I feel like people know so little. It's like when guys are like, hey, I'd like to do steroids.
Yes.
And I go, good for you. What are your goals? What do you want to do? And there's a guy that came into a gym once years ago, and he goes, well, I just want to get bigger arms. And I go, okay. I go, why? He goes, well, I know it sounds dickish. I just want to look better. I go, cool. I said, whatever the reason is, like, you just got to know where you're going. I said, so how big is big enough? He goes, well, I don't know. And I go, well, we got to have a marker. Like, you need to know. Like, and we just started talking through it until he started seeing how stupid he was. And I go, wouldn't you rather be useful? Yeah. Wouldn't you rather be able to use your body in a way? And like we watched a free running video. I'm like, so wouldn't you like to be able to do like a muscle up and fucking get up on the building, or to be able to walk on your hands across the floor, or like be useful? Like, so is the size of your arm or your usefulness to the world better?
Yeah. So being a trainer, that's like a big part of, you know, the whole industry thing is I try to tell people like to try to be all natural, just because here's my problem with supplements. And I've taken stuff before, not like steroids or anything, but I really don't take supplements because I take a protein shake after a workout, and that's all I take. And most of it comes from food. But the problem I have with like supplements, and I've seen from so many people, even fighters and like people in the fitness industry, is they feel so great when they're on it. You know, there's a lot of confidence. Mm-hmm. You're on top of the world. You know, you're lifting weights, you're getting stronger, everything's good. And when they come off of it, that's when it's like they don't have that confidence anymore. And maybe that has to do with the supplement or whatever, but I feel like it does. And they're not as confident, they're not as happy. And then they post pictures of like cats instead of like like when they're on it, they're like, look at me, and then when they're off of it. But it's not very consistent.
I think those are with drugs though.
Yeah,
that's with steroids though.
Yeah,
and I would say that's 100% true.
And like if you think about it, yeah, and if you think about it,
what's up with pride
and fights, yeah, like fights. I think if you were on it before and you were fighting, and then you're really good, and then now you have to be off of it, I feel like it messes with your head a little bit.
I mean, we saw it when Pride came to the UFC and they melded, right? We saw it. We saw it with the Nogueiras. We saw it with Wanderlei. We saw it with Shogun. I mean, Shogun got choked by Forrest Griffin just off top, huh? What? Like that, and you just saw different fighters, you know? Heath Herring, he's like, I don't even want to do this anymore. I don't even know why I'm here. And we watched him throw a fight basically to Nogueira. Like, I think that was in San Jose. But it's like, you know, we see that a lot. And I think that Ronda, that was the smartest thing I ever heard her say, man. And she said, you know, those girls that do it, if they want to do it, great. If we're tested and you know you can't be on it, now I know that you're already lost, because you already know that you're not the person that you thought you were. And now and you know I am, and I'm going to crush you. And it's a huge thing. I think you speak to a big thing. But even with supplements like I said, citrulline malate, which is just, it's like it enables you to train for a lot longer than you normally like to. It's like a really great endurance supplement. And Jody Escobel is going to fight in Invicta on the, I think it's on the 29th of this month. And then whoever wins that fight will fight for the title of Invicta. And Jody was just on The Ultimate Fighter, and she lost a bad decision in I think her first fight. But I was talking to Keith. It's Keith's fiance, Jardine's fiance. Oh, nice. And
is he still riding around motorcycles without a helmet?
He doesn't ride much. I mean, sometimes he's too busy. He might ride without a helmet. Does he? Is that? I
just remember seeing the like one of the countdowns when he was. I forget who he's fighting.
Chuck or something.
I think it was probably Chuck. Yeah, and he was just like. And I guess New Mexico, there's no rule.
There's no helmet.
Yeah, because I've had a couple bikes, and I was like, that's interesting.
Right.
Like riding without a helmet.
It's funny, in New Mexico, you see dudes on crotch rockets, and you know, like the bulletproof vest looking thing?
Yes.
With like, it's like, you know, in stunts, they use them to, you know, do flatbacks or whatever. And so it's like got armor on it, basically. And you'll see guys with those on, but no helmet. I'm like, so you just want to wear a cool thing or something is what the thing is, you fucking idiot.
That's hilarious.
Hope your head comes right off when you hit the pavement.
What's the video game you guys play with the fucking the Halo or Call of Duty? It's like that. They wear like the tactical vest. They want to be Call of Duty guy.
Right.
That's all it is.
It's probably that,
for
yeah.
sure.
They wear it when they're playing the game too, and then they're like, "Oh shit, my mom's making dinner. Let me get on the bike," and then they go home.
Exactly. Get the Kit Kat bar out, little part where your fucking magazine to your 9's supposed to go. It's a king size Kit Kat bar and a fucking Twix in there. That'd fit a nice little Glock mag just perfect.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, but Keith feels the same way. He's like, I don't want Jody to take something that maybe she's not going to take during the fight, because you get used to that thing, and like,
Yes.
but I wonder also. It's like breaking superstition, right? And like, I didn't play with my diet a lot when I was competing because I was worried about making weight, and I knew how to make weight the way I was doing it. And then I'm superstitious to go outside of that. And I've seen every nutritionist and every genius come and go through the UFC and through that kind of whole world, and they all have different ideas of what it is. There's a guy at Jackson's recently that was just selling the idea about. Get enough whole grains and do like stuff that flies in the face of any kind of ideas that we have about ketogenesis or going into any kind of real nutritionally based dense foods and things like that, and that will work towards bad gut health. And they're like, this is the one and it's like, this is almost like mulligan stew from when I was a little kid and looking at the FDA food triangle, like, which is all fugazi shit that will for sure make you sick and give you diabetes, and you think that you're one of the highest, like it's amazing. And so I think whatever information is out there you can find, but I think the bottom line is do you, and figure out what it is, and then be open to being wrong. And as long as you're doing that, like, things I was sure about 5 years ago, I would laugh at now. And if I was sure about things that I was so wrong about 5 years ago, I got to consider that right now what I think is wrong too, and that I'll evolve into the next thing. I hope that like that's the way life is. But and I think that's the only wrong thing you can do is get too married to things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being open-minded and just accepting that you're wrong, it's one of the most freeing things, because I'm wrong all the fucking time, very wrong all the time, and I can't fix the rest of the world, but if I can say, I fucked up, I can improve myself and maybe make the world a little bit better as it sort of trickles out. And I'm like, yeah, I was fucking stupid, I did that wrong, so I'm gonna improve that. Whether it's diet thing, like every week there's new information now, and everybody has really strong views about, like, are you supposed to do the high protein, low fat? Are you supposed to be like a ketogenic guy?
I know people that operate very well on a high carbohydrate diet.
That's me.
You know what I mean? I know guys that I just talked to a guy, he's a CrossFit athlete, and he's like, basically it's workout, get as many carbs as I can. Workout, get as many carbs in. It's like, and there's guys that just operate like that. And it depends what your sport is, depends what your goals are. If he stops doing the metabolic output that he's doing right now and continues to eat that way, he'll probably get deleterious results. Right now he's getting great results. You look at Michael Phelps's diet, it looks fucking abhorrent. But for him, he's the winningest gold medalist ever to fucking breathe air. So I think it's probably okay. I mean, and I think just the thing is like changing whatever it is, being open to going, you need to do two things. You need to be 100% committed to the thing, because you can't do something for 2 weeks and be like, oh, this doesn't work, or because you got bored of it or whatever, and then do the other thing. You'll never have you'll have no efficacy in your results. So you don't know. So you'll go along being ignorant. You're guaranteed to be ignorant forever. But then the next thing is changing it a lot. And even if that's driving home in a different route every day, it's like if you get into the same pattern, regardless of what it is, you get into a rut. And I find that in myself. And then my awareness goes down, and I'm dulled, and my senses are dulled, and I'm not as aware as anything. And I think that's what, it even happens in relationships with people. Why people say, why do you hurt the ones you love or whatever? It's like, because you're impolite to them. You have poor manners around them because you know that they know I'm not really like that. But you wouldn't treat a fucking cashier or a taxi driver the way you treat your spouse or whatever. And that's just because it's a lack of awareness, because you're into these routines. And so I think it's the routine and habitualizing yourself to just do something and being committed to that thing. It both makes us great, but it's the paradox too of you have to be aware, is that thing the thing that's also rotting me? And make your adjustments,
So at the gym earlier today, I had just two guys walk up to me. I was just deadlifting, And I was putting together like a little circuit. It was just it was a couple things. Like I had like some dumbbells. I had like 405 on deadlift. I'm trying to get to 500. It's been like a fucking thing for like I'm hunting that number. But these two Indian guys come over and I'm like, they were doing their own thing. Their form was a little bit fucked up, but like I've known from experience not to be like, hey, you don't know what the
let me help you guys.
Yeah.
Leave that to the trainers.
I only do that in the sauna.
No, exactly. I wear that Speedo in there for sure.
Perfect.
It makes people so uncomfortable, so I wear it to every 24-hour fitness.
Dude, there's a spot, there's like a gym in Santa Fe, and I would cut weight there sometimes because they have a sauna, and most guys that are in the sauna are buck naked, and most guys don't even have a towel under their ass, and all I can think of, I'm in there sweating and miserable. So I already kind of have a feeling about everybody that's not real amorous. Then I'm like, your butthole is right where 1,000 other buttholes and balls have been, and you got basically another dude's butthole in your butt. Like I would just get disgusted. I was like, the sauna can be the best or the worst place, depending, huh?
Yeah. I
But
like a nice
Speedo,
sauna.
good on you.
Yeah, it was it's this bright blue one I bought in Brazil, and everybody fucking rocks them down there.
Yeah, it's normal there. They know you're an American if you have trunks on.
I show up and I'm like, this is my dick,
Right.
and it's for all of you to sort of take in.
Let's all be one.
It's all just, here's the dick. I brought it. It's for you. It's blue.
I was on the beach in Brazil and I saw the hottest midget I had ever seen in my life. Just full 6-pack, thick ass, like, and I was like, there is a whole tribe of her just like 20 miles away or something. I bet, like, for sure she just came off the river somewhere or something, and I was amazed. Like, this is a trip. My buddy has a real midget thing too, and he was just like, I'm going to stay here all day. Dude, I think I'll just stay. I'm like, you can't stay here. We're leaving. But anyway.
You could have just packed her up with and put her in the bag.
Saw her later. We were in
Really?
Copacabana, and in the nightclubs in Copacabana, they're not really actually nightclubs. It's all just working girls. And then people go in there, and then it's like a regular disco, and you're like, wow, every girl in here is just smoking hot. And they're like, yeah, they're all working.
It's like Singapore.
I'm like, that's amazing.
It's like Singapore.
So everybody likes me.
This is so cool. I remember at the time my lady, she'd go to the bathroom at like anywhere we were in Brazil, and she'd be in the bathroom and 2 more girls would show up in her place. There was even the one time we went and saw, we were in Natal, and we were watching some UFC fight in a bar restaurant there, and there was a drunk girl literally came in and just shoulder checked her out of the way and was like, hello.
Wow.
They're very bold. They see an American, they're like, we're leaving. And
Crazy.
Where do you live? I do too. It sounds harsh, but it's true. It's really true.
That's a friendly people for sure.
Oh, they're lovely, lovely people. Lovely. Good jiu-jitsu, I hear.
It's weird too. When I went there, I was maybe I don't know if it was 2002, maybe. It was a long time ago, but nobody heard of jiu-jitsu down there. No, like it's like, oh, it's going to be and then, like, even there, it's like this obscure little thing that you're doing, Tait. Like nobody is really dialed in.
It's classist.
It's a trip, huh?
It's very classist because there was a very like sort of aggressive stigma attached to jiu-jitsu in the sort of dark years that we refer to in the UFC terms. It was sort of had like a bullying aspect to it. It had this, connection to people coming and starting fights in clubs, bringing pit bulls and stuff, whatever, and just being not very good citizens,
Well, they stopped fights in Brazil. They were outlawed for years. They were outlawed everywhere except for Curitiba, and then they were outlawed in the whole country for a while. And the UFC really coaxed them to bring them back, but there was too many guys that were killed at the fights, because if they have 12 fights, they've got 24 fighters, and they've got people from ostensibly 24 different gyms that all have fans, and so everybody is there trained and ready to scrap. I mean, like Renzo Gracie got stabbed through the cage at one of them. Whoa. At a fight, right? Way back in the day, and they interviewed him about it after he did a fight in America. Forget who it was. It was a famous one, though. He stepped on the guy's face after he finished him. He armbarred him, and then he kicked him and stepped over his face to go talk to the ref, because the guy talked all types of shit. And they interviewed him anyway after this in a documentary, and they're like, so you got stabbed? And he's like, yeah, I was resting against the fence, and the guy comes up and stabs me, and they're like, God damn, it's crazy. They said, what happened to that guy? Oh, he died a couple weeks later. He says, bad things happen to people that do bad things. And just like real matter of fact. I was like, God, you're my favorite guy ever.
Wow.
Did you see him live tweet when he was getting mugged?
He live tweeted something that he described as getting mugged, but it sounded more
him
like
throwing a beating on a couple guys that were going to follow him somewhere.
They were asking for a cigarette or a lighter, and he like immediately scares the one off by smacking him like good, and then proceeds to assault and beat the crap out of the other one. He gave him the raccoon eyes. He said,
"This is real."
Yeah, yeah. It just happened last year, something like that.
Oh, Henzo's bad.
They should put that up on World Star if they have.
He is the best guy ever. He's like they're following me off the train now. I've been around the block 2 times. They're still following me. He's like, my blood is coming up like it would in Brazil. I'm getting really excited now. The one guy, he's run off now, and like. And so he's beating one, and then he leaves, and then he's tweeting, and then he's beating the other. Like, awesome.
He's whooping that ass, tweeting. He's like, he's down now. He has the 2 black eyes. I'm just picturing.
Yeah, you can get transcripts of the whole thing. It's awesome. Wow. And the friendliest guy. I mean, but that's justice. He's like, I'm super friendly till I'm not, and then I'm going to handle this if you're going to get silly.
I went to a seminar. It was Half and Henzo together.
Wow, I bet that's a crazy dynamic.
It was tremendous. And then Cesar Gracie was hanging out too. And
right on.
Gilbert Melendez was there. It was a cool scene, and just having them both teach their different ways of showing techniques. With Half, you do the move right. Cool, whatever. He goes to the next guy. If you do it as aggressively and just fucking ragtag your partner or opponent or nemesis, according to this,
right?
He's like, yes, go. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna fucking mollywop this guy every time because he does that.
Yeah.
And so my partner is like, oh, come on, yeah, come. I'm like, you're 6'3", you can take it,
right?
So he's showing the darts. I'm like, basically just uppercutting the shit out of this guy. Like as I throw it on, fucking. Half was so stoked. I'm like, and then he gets stoked. And like, when someone's cheering you on like that, you're gonna do more.
Those are the toughest guys. The Health Gracie guy. I mean, it's like that's.
Did you ever train with any of them? No. Did you roll?
Yeah, I started there.
You rolled with him too?
With Half?
Yeah.
No, but he showed a heel hook on me, and it wasn't that it hurt.
Like Kurt's like that, right?
Kurt will stretch you.
He was one of the first jiu-jitsu brands that I saw. He had Blitzkrieg Jiu-Jitsu, I think, or Blitzkrieg MMA or something like that. Way back, like I'd see him at like the Pan Ams in Florida and stuff, and I was like, who's that guy? Him and Garth Taylor and all these old school dudes, man.
Do you remember Bobby Southworth?
Yeah, for sure.
He was our first. He's the one that
gave us. He's down in Texas now, I think.
Yeah. He gave us our blue belt. He was our
really?
coach.
Yeah. Killer, man.
Yeah, it was dope.
Health slapped him around at one of the tournaments, right? Like that was on the internet.
He was on crutches.
Yeah, he just had knee surgery or something like that, or he twisted something, and he's on crutches, and
And Half took a swat at him because they were arguing over. So Bobby used to teach for Half.
Okay.
So he started. He was one of the instructors there. He was a Half Gracie guy for a number of years. Like that was where he was from. And at this tournament, Bobby made some comment or question about the brackets, and something wasn't fair. And Half responded with kind of what. Right. It escalated immediately. It went from 0 to 1,000.
Right.
And at this tournament with like women, children, men, whatever, Half gave him touched him on the chin a little bit.
Yeah.
And then and Bobby's a big guy, man. He walks around 230 or something. So and Half's not a very big guy, but still he got right in there and hit him because that's his student. To him, that's his student.
Yep. Why would you even question?
Former or not? Well, now they're on the other side of the fence, and Half does not. He's very loyalty to him is very important. So that he is on these créances or whatever, like the
traitor.
The idea that you're a traitor or whatever. So like to them, it's a big
loyalty.
Deal. Yeah, for them just dissing, going to another gym. I remember when they had the documentary with BJ Penn and Henzo over there coaching. Was it Henzo or?
I didn't watch it.
It was Choke. Which one was it? Legacy. It was the Legacy.
Yeah, Choke was Hickson's.
Hickson was okay. It was Legacy, and I guess for working with BJ Penn, there was a little bit of animosity there.
Huh? Weird. And then Claudio Franco's up here. He's an old G too, man.
Oh yeah,
he used to throw great tournaments up here.
He still does. US Open.
The US Open is big. sometimes they'll have the events at the San Jose State, the college.
Killer.
And it'll be pretty packed. But
yeah, last year for U.S. Open was in Santa Cruz still. But they had that Silvio's Brazilian barbecue from Hermosa Beach come up.
Nice, man.
Love that place.
It's rad, man.
We were just there like fucking 5 days ago. That's like, I gotta go there. Not the regular sandwich. They have this other one where they put a bunch of other shit on there. It's like a tri-tip thing, but it's fucking good.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's jiu-jitsu's awesome in that way. Yeah, I wish Hyan was still alive. That's Hyan had 4 black belts, and Hanato Migliaccio was one, and that's who gave me my black belt.
Cool.
And that whole lineage, like, there's stories in there, the stories we know, and then the stories we don't know, man. Just amazing, dude. That whole culture and what it is. It's weird that, like, I wonder how Hyan right now would feel in the with the Halleck kind of, like, with like all his cousins and everything, and like what all that looks like, you know, because there's all these real differences with the jiu-jitsu community as far as the Gracies and Machados, as, you know, the original fountains of jiu-jitsu in America anyway.
we actually trained at Machado's gym when we were in LA.
Yeah, at Jean Jacques.
Jean Jacques, yeah.
Yeah, man, he's the best, huh? Like crazy.
I didn't get a chance to roll with him, but I rolled with a couple of his other black belts and his other students. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys, just to be near, it's like I get kind of in awe a little bit, you know?
You feel so comfortable and just so glad to be there. And then just him, whatever technique he shows, he knows it better than anyone you've ever met.
Yeah.
Like he showed a Kimura, it was a sweep into a Kimura from just the top of, you know, just Kimura control, basically. You know, we got the guy side control.
Right. And
the way he did it, you're just stuck, and he's finishing it for sure. You could hold on to anything, defend it. You do your favorite defense. He shows this thing on me, and I'm just like, I couldn't believe how fucked I was.
I'm helpless.
I roll with him once,
and he's crippled.
Yeah, he's
right?
This guy's lapel choked me before.
Isn't that crazy?
And he had a couple fingers on
how
the one
strong
hand.
are those fingers? Like, it's. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing about it, is that, like, you know, go ahead and tell somebody they can't, you know, and I was talking about coaching earlier today, and like coaching, the whole job of coaching, and whether you're business coaching or jiu-jitsu or fucking basketball or whatever, is to get people out of their own way, you know, to erase the can'ts from their life. And how do you go about doing that? And you see somebody like that, and you're like, you know, because you believe that person. If somebody's just naturally fit, it's like, how do I give a fuck to hear what you've got to say about how I should eat? Like, it doesn't matter what you eat Pringles all day. Mm-hmm. But if you've got somebody and you're like, wow, man, they've like, so him, he was disfigured in his hand, like, and one of the best black belts ever to live, you know, a real, and like a living icon, you know, they're like, that's a crazy thing.
Would you ever consider, do you watch basketball?
I watched.
Do you know who Muggsy Bogues is?
Oh, way back in the day.
Yeah. So do you feel like it's like
because
that?
I watched him and I was like, holy shit! It looked like a superhero against like maybe not very coordinated adolescent kids when he played with full grown men. Yeah. And he was what 5'5" or like whatever. He was little. Dunk.
And Nate Robinson, I don't
know who that is.
He's another like short, like Spud Webb.
D Brown.
Spud Webb.
Yeah.
D Brown was small. The Celtics.
Yeah. So
that was crazy, man.
Yeah. Do you think it's like that, the whole disabled and?
I don't know. I think that's an outlier, right? Like, but I think that anybody, I've seen guys at tournaments at Grappler's Quest, no leg and winning tournament. You know what I mean? And it's like you see that, and you're just like, you know, like those guys, like a Spud Webb or Muggsy Bogues or something, like that's a real outlier, I think, in a way, you know, like that's not like, oh, if you just tried harder, you know what I mean? Like, that's a special motherfucker. But anybody can get better anywhere that they are, right? And you can go out and you can excel. And I'm not a guy that believes, oh, anybody can get a black belt. I think that's bullshit. I think even guys that have really high skills, I don't think that they can carry it ethically or morally. I don't think that they're good men, and they shouldn't. I think that's all. I think it's all a part of it. I think your whole life should emanate the worth of that belt, because it fucking matters, man. And if it doesn't matter, and if you're not going to have a standard about that, then what else are you willing to not have standards about? And fuck you you know, and I think maybe that's different as far as younger dudes that are just at that level and they're competing at that level, and fuck yeah, those are black belts, man. But a competition black belt is different than I see a lot of like mercy belts in a lot of ways, and the guys that are like, oh, if you just stay around long enough, and I just don't agree with that, man. I don't think that's a good or positive mindset. And I think, fuck, man, I was super proud when I got a purple belt. I'm happy. I'm good there, dude. That's awesome. Because it was considerable to me, and it meant something. Yeah. And it does mean something.
Well, talking about
it ought to.
Yeah, talking about those tournaments. I did the Claudio Franco as a white belt, and I did it. I had 7 matches, and I took gold that day.
Awesome.
Yeah, but it was like right after that I got the blue belt, so like that was like meaningful to me. Even the blue belt was meaningful.
Sure.
It was like.
Took forever.
Dude, it all matters.
It took so long.
Matters. Mm-hmm. And nobody gives a shit. I'm a 4-stripe white belt or whatever, and you're like, oh fuck. And you know, you catch a purple belt or something maybe, and you're like, well, I'm killing a lot of blue belts, and I even got a purple belt. Like what? But it just didn't matter. It's like I just want to represent my like that. That's what just got into my head. I learned, and I go, it doesn't matter. I just want to represent my school well. And the thing is, too, everybody that wants to go fast through belts, it's like. I used to think that jiu-jitsu is great because there's no dickheads in jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu really levels egos, because any day you can go and get killed by somebody in the most primal way.
Keeps you honest.
You know, we're practicing killing each other in a way, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, there's a bunch of dickheads that are in jiu-jitsu too. It seems like there's a whole new breed that is. It's just different. It's not hard. There's an entitlement, and I think that's just with young men in general. But there's a huge entitlement now. Like, I'd like to be known for being so awesome, even though I don't merit it and I haven't walked a road at all. It's like, no, go fucking walk a road for a while, dude, and fucking, you know, it'll come. But go ahead and get yourself a reputation for sure before you go fucking and say anything. Like, and stay off the internet. You know, but like,
stop your Reddit
that
nonsense.
Stuff. It all matters, here's the reason why, and the real reason that it should matter to anybody that's a white belt or that's anybody out there, is that if I promote you quickly and you haven't won, I say one of the big tournaments, if you haven't won, like to go and medal at Grappler's Quest, to go and medal at the Worlds, to go and medal at the Pan Ams, to go to these tournaments that draw the largest amount of guys in the world, and to go and stand on it, that means something to get to the pedestal, man. And if I give you a blue belt too soon, a purple belt too soon, and you haven't done that, I rob you of the chance. You can't be a champion at that belt level. And wouldn't it be nice to be a champion at every fucking belt level that you get, you know? And it's you're a robber. You're thieving your own students if you do that, if you promote guys too soon. And it's not good for the health of your school. It's not good for the health of their ego. And it's not good for jiu-jitsu, I don't think, you know? Because then you got a guy that makes excuses about why he lost. Like, usually you make pussies. And that's what happens.
So this is all in favor of building a business and having people with colored belts to fill
there's
in
that.
class.
I talked to Clint about that today.
It's total bullshit to do it that way, but it's a lot of people do it. They'll pad the walls, they'll pad the classes, they'll fill it up with colored belts because it looks good to the Yelp people out there.
Sure.
Like, oh, I took a class and it was taught by 6 black belts and
right.
we learned nothing, or we learned 100 moves at 10% skill, knowledge or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere, man.
So I love like the way I think that it should be is that jiu-jitsu is free. Jiu-jitsu made my life free. Jiu-jitsu saved me in a lot of ways. And that whole thing of jiu-jitsu saved my life is a funny thing. My friend made a T-shirt that says that now, but like I never thought about it as like jiu-jitsu saved my life in a combat way or something like that. But I think everybody that doesn't do jiu-jitsu thinks of it that way. And I think everybody that does jiu-jitsu thinks of it in a whole nother way. Like that it gave you an insight into your life that you didn't even know was part of your character that existed, kind of.
My thing about jiu-jitsu is I like how it keeps me honest. So if I show up to training and if I don't eat right or sleep right, or like if I'm not focused, I'm going to get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
And it kind of keeps me honest. Like, okay, what's your real goals? Like, what are you trying to do? And then that's one thing I love about it.
Well, then are you having fun or do you need to win?
Yeah.
Exactly. What self is it that you're trying to promote here?
Mm-hmm.
And you get to ask yourself those kinds of questions. And unless you have consequence in your life, unless you've built it, because now we live in a nerfed world, you don't have to have consequence really. and which is, I think, a horrible thing. But like, if you have consequences in your life that you build into your life, well, that's kind of, you're building in rites of passage, which I think males crave and yearn for. And if you shy from that, you're for sure a weak little bitch, and you're for sure a douchebag, and you're the dude that rapes a girl, or you're the dude that goes into a fucking nightclub and shoots everybody. And those are the kinds of people that you're just not in control of yourself. You don't have dominion over the aspects of yourself, of your spiritual nature, of your physical nature. Your emotions are all whack, and your intellect is gone. And like without those things, if you're not thinking of those things and trying to be higher minded and building yourself a real rite of passage, then you're lost and you're at the whims of those things. And fuck, that's like living in chronic alcoholism, to be at the whims of your emotions and to just let the wind fucking buffet you wherever. I'm having a feeling I don't like you. And well, fuck, man, like you can't just shoot everybody. Like that's not the and so I think that's the saving grace, for me, was jiu-jitsu.
For sure. I know.
When you said the shooting and the beard, I was like, damn, dude, that's a fucking... that's why you're in movies, man.
Yeah.
You got me. You had me. Like, that was fucking compelling shit. It was beautiful.
Hustling.
It keeps it, like you said, it keeps me honest. But in terms of what it's given me over the last like 11 or so whatever years, I mean, the amount I've grown, and in terms of just matured, and just I learned a lot about, a lot of people feel like they're owed things. Like you meant this entitlement earlier, and it's the most toxic thing in the world. I deserve
this.
That's a great word. I deserve this. It's like, well, here, check this out. I don't have $1 million in the bank, and here's how I know I don't deserve it, because I don't fucking have it. If I did, I'd have it. Not saying I'm not going to have money or whatever, but right now that wasn't what I put time into. I clearly didn't work hard enough for it, so I don't have it, and I proof I don't deserve it because I don't have it. And as you apply that to life, because fuck money, like it's great, you pay for stuff, cool, whatever. But like as it applies to everything else, it's like I'm a brown belt. I deserve that belt because I have it.
No one deserve it. Yeah.
Well, it's fine. Like
you ever fight in a tournament that you didn't cut weight for?
Yeah.
And even if you win, like when I've done that before, and then winning, and I was like, I didn't earn it. It felt like I didn't suffer enough or something, and I thought there's something very valuable, and that taught me there's something very valuable in suffering. You feel like you've anteed into life.
You want to earn that meal. You've had those training sessions where I've bitched out on training before. Everybody fucking has. It's the worst feeling ever because you know what you're doing. You're lying to yourself, to your training partners. You're like, come on, man up. Like you can do better. Yep. But then that euphoria, that feeling of accomplishment, when it didn't even matter, fuck who you tap. I'm half the time I'm just working on specific stuff when I'm rolling.
Sure.
I like to be there. I teach classes because I like to. It's like I don't have to. I have a full-time fucking job. We have this. Like I don't have to spend my time. I wake up 6 a.m. fucking 3 days a week. Go in there, teach a 6:30 class. Go fucking do powerlifting. Go to work. Fucking we record a podcast. I go train again.
How often do you guys record?
Doing like twice a week now.
Cool, man.
Yeah. But
it's the hustle. I like the motion, the fucking challenge of all of it, man. This is to us. This is jiu-jitsu. Like
it all weaves together.
It does.
In the end, my whole life is woven together in a way that I never expected.
And I really like jiu-jitsu too. Besides the whole like keeping you honest factor, is sometimes I just like to go roll and just put myself in the worst situation and be like, okay, how are you gonna act like this now, and like have somebody get an armbar on me, and then kind of like what you said with the Frankie Edgar, you kind of wake up, and it's like, oh, okay, now the blood starts pumping and the heart starts beating, and then it's like now it's go time, and then you just get in that flowy state.
Yeah,
so
it's beautiful, man.
It is. It absolutely is, dude. We've taken a ton of your time, and
it was fun, man. Yeah, I gotta go to bed soon. I gotta be up early, but
you got 5 minutes
for having me, man.
Go say hello to our friend in down the road here.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, we're gonna go see Mr. Kyle Kingsbury at his place of we're just gonna go see Kyle.
Place of enjoyment.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
You'd think. You know, it's like
it's the slave ship for him.
It totally is.
Yeah.
He's wifed up, fucking married guy. Like he is family man. Like they try, they can't sway him at all. He doesn't even look at him. It's fucking.
I've always admired him. It would be nice to meet him, man.
Oh yeah, it's mutual. That's why I got to drag you over there, man.
Cool.
Well, thanks again, Tait Fletcher, for coming on.
Thank you, man. Thanks. I appreciate you guys.
Beautiful.
We'll do it again.
Fucking A, yeah. We'll come see you in New Mexico. Fucking actually go hunting.
Or Venice.
Yep.
Yeah, like perfect.
My next.
Tão natural quanto a luz do dia, mas que preguiça boa, me deixa aqui à toa. Hoje ninguém vai.